Welcome to the 2013-2014 University of Illinois Intramural Captain's Presentation. This presentation is intended to highlight notable intramural policies to help your season run smoother and is by no means an exhaustive list of IM policies and rules. For a complete list of rules and policies, please see the Intramural Handbook link on the Intramural Activities homepage. Ultimately, it is the team captain's responsibility to understand and abide by all IM policies and rules contained in the Intramural Handbook and this presentation. Notable IM policies that will be covered in this presentation include completion of the captain's presentation and verification, forfeits, defaults, jerseys/uniforms, online rosters, player eligibility, improper use of iCard, captain/team name changes, removing players, and withdrawing from a league. We will also include a section for new IM policies at the end of the presentation. In order to acknowledge that you have viewed this presentation and agree to abide by all IM rules and policies, you must enter your UIN number in the box below that will appear at the end of the presentation. This viewing and verification process must be completed before 11:55 p.m. on the Thursday after registration for your particular sport has closed. A presentation and verification must be completed for each individual team that you are the captain for. Failure to complete this presentation and verification for any of your teams by the deadline will result in that specific team being ineligible for playoffs. You can check all your team's presentation statuses by clicking the My Teams link from the IM Online homepage and looking at the presentation status column. Teams that you still need to complete the presentation and verification process for will appear as not viewed. A forfeit is a game in which a team does not show up or does not have enough players to legally start the game. Each forfeit by a team is accompanied by a $125 forfeit fee and automatically disqualifies the team from playoffs. Other situations that forfeits can be assessed for include, but are not limited to, teams who play with ineligible players, teams who have players participating in a game that have not signed in, and teams who have a player/spectator who is ejected and is unwilling to cooperate with on-site intramural staff to fill out the necessary ejected player paperwork. Other violations of intramural policy can also result in forfeits. Avoid forfeits by defaulting games and making sure all of your players are eligible and sign in to each game before playing. A default is a game in which a team captain knows that his or her team cannot make it to their scheduled game time and notifies the intramural department ahead of time to avoid being assessed a forfeit. To default a game, a team captain must call 217-244-1344 or email intramurals@illinois.edu before 2 p.m. on the day of the contest or before Friday at 2 p.m. for a Sunday game. The following information must be provided: the team name, your name as the captain, the sport, the time your team plays, and the date of the game you would like to default. The office staff will confirm all default emails and voicemails with defaulting captains. Attempts to default a game after the default deadline will not be honored. Defaulting teams are still eligible for playoffs, but should also consider the impact of a C in sportsmanship. The IM jersey policy will be in effect for flag football, soccer, indoor soccer, basketball, and broomball. For all other sports, the jersey policy is not in effect. For sports that the policy is in effect for, all teams must bring both white and another colored jersey to every contest. When you are listed as the home team, you will wear white. When you are listed as the away team, your team will wear any other color other than white, and all your teammates must be wearing the same shade of the same color. Jersey color must be uniform across your team. Please note that black and navy blue are not considered the same color. No jewelry is allowed for any intramural sports. The only exception to this policy is medical alert bracelets, which must be taped down, allowing pertinent information to still be viewable. Underground Printing has your team t-shirt needs covered. They have specials for your IM t-shirts or jerseys starting at just $10 with imprint and numbers included. Check out Underground Printing at 502 East John Street in Champaign or email ugpuiuc@undergroundshirts.com. All members of your team must be signed up on the team's online roster before 2 p.m. on game day. For Sunday games, all members must be signed up on the team's online roster before 2 p.m. the Friday before that Sunday's game. There are no exceptions to this policy. Intramural staff will check participants in at the game location, given that their name appears on the scorecard. This means that they signed up online. Participants must have their iCard to check in and play. There are absolutely no exceptions. Any player that plays without signing in or that is not listed on a team's online roster will be considered ineligible, and a forfeit and forfeit fees will be assessed to the team with the ineligible player. Each member of your team must sign themselves up individually on the team roster, using the team password that you created when you created the team. All passwords, UINs, NetIDs, and other login information is case sensitive. On the Campus Recreation Intramural website, there is a link on the left-hand side called How to Register. If your teammates are having difficulties, make sure they are following the steps outlined in that process. All Campus Rec members are eligible to participate in intramurals. Please see the Intramural Handbook for details about eligibility of club athletes and varsity athletes. If a player who plays in a game is not a current Campus Rec member, the player will be deemed ineligible and a forfeit will be assessed for any games in which he or she has played. There is no warning for eligibility violations. It is the captain's responsibility to check with all players before each contest. Intramural participants are limited to play for one team per league classification. Current league classifications for intramurals are co-rec, fraternity, which includes Greek Cup, men's, sorority Greek Cup, and women's. This means that a male player may play on a co-rec team, a fraternity team, and a men's team for any particular sport. Likewise, a female may play on a co-rec team, a sorority Greek Cup team, and a women's team for any particular sport. Please note that the Greek Cup competition is a sub-league of the fraternity league and still falls under its league classification. This means that players may only play for a fraternity team or a Greek Cup team, not both. If at any time a player is found playing on more than one team in a specific league, the player will be deemed ineligible and a forfeit will be assessed for the game in which the player participated on the second team. No participant may use another individual's iCard to sign in and participate in a contest. In the event that the identity of an iCard holder trying to sign into a game does not match the identity on the iCard, the iCard will be confiscated by intramural staff per university policy. Both individuals, the card holder, as well as the identity on the iCard, will be suspended from all intramural play for the remainder of the current semester. All improper iCard use intramural suspensions will go into effect immediately when the iCard is confiscated, and suspensions can only be lifted by the intramural assistant director. In addition, violators may be held to further disciplinary measures at both the campus recreation, which includes facility access, and university levels that operate completely independent from the semester-long intramural suspension. Once a captain has completed the registration process for a particular team, that captain is bound to that team, and he or she may no longer change teams or appoint another team member as captain. Please make sure that your intended captain signs up your team. The captain is also not permitted to change their team's name once the registration process has been completed. Requests sent to the intramural department requesting a captain change or a team name change will be denied. A player can only be removed from an intramural team if that player has not signed in to any intramural games for that specific team. In order to remove a player from a team roster, the captain must contact the intramural office to verify that the inactive player has not signed in to any intramural games for that specific team. Players who have already signed in for an intramural game with a specific team cannot be removed from that team's roster. In order to withdraw from a league and receive an entry fee refund minus a $5 processing fee, teams must notify the intramural program of their intent to withdraw before 9 a.m. on the Wednesday directly after registration closes. The only acceptable notification of withdrawal is an email from the team captain to intramurals@illinois.edu detailing the team name and their intent to withdraw. If an email to withdraw is received by the intramural program after the refund deadline for a particular sport, a team may still withdraw from the league. However, they will not receive a refund for the league registration fee or any forfeit fees that may have accumulated. That concludes the notable IAM policy section of the presentation. This next section focuses on new IAM policies that are important for both new and returning participants to be aware of. The new IAM policies are failure to sign into a game, signing in late, shortened seasons, playoff admittance criteria, and ejections and appeals process. If at any time a team is found to have a player participating in the contest without having signed in on the official intramural game sheet, said team will forfeit the game immediately and all forfeit fees and consequences will apply. It is possible to have a double forfeit if both teams have players participating in the contest who did not sign in. Team captains are ultimately responsible for ensuring that each of his or her teammates properly sign into contests before they participate. This policy is in place to protect the integrity of each and every intramural team and to ultimately ensure that every intramural contest is played fairly. Players may arrive and sign in up until the start of the second half of a contest. If a participant arrives to play after the contest has begun, it is his or her responsibility to locate a staff assistant or supervisor and sign in with a valid iCard before participating in the contest. If a lay participant cannot present a valid iCard, he or she will not be allowed to enter the contest. The specific halfway points for each sport can be found in the Intramural Handbook under Section 1.3. Seasons taking place after spring break, which includes co-rec soccer, volleyball, and broomball, will be reduced to 4-team divisions, which shortens the schedule to a 3-game regular season with no bye week. This adjustment ensures that sports after spring break conclude before the end of the semester. Team registration fees for shortened seasons will be reduced to $65. Teams must now win a minimum of 3 games in a season, 2 for a shortened season, to be admitted to the playoffs. The entire playoff criteria is as follows. Teams must have won 3 games or more out of 4 during the regular season, or 2 out of 3 for a shortened season. Teams must have an average sportsmanship rating of at least a B. Teams must have completed the online captain's presentation and verification, and they must have no regular season forfeits. This semester, intramurals will be using a new ejection and appeals process. When a player is ejected, he or she will automatically be levied a suspension based on the below minimum suspension guidelines, and no longer has to meet with the assistant director. Suspensions can also be appealed by emailing in a written statement and meeting with the assistant director. To view more detailed information on the new ejection and appeals process, please see sections 3.3 and 3.4 in the IM Handbook. If you have any questions or concerns about any rules or policies, please feel free to contact the Intramural program at 217-244-1344 or email us at intramurals@illinois.edu. This concludes the 2013-2014 Intramural Captain's presentation. We appreciate your attention and hope that you enjoy your experience with the Intramural program.